nearly 70, Joan Rivers remains the doyenne of women's stand-up comedy. Loved and hated on both sides of the Atlantic for her taboo-busting humour, she delights in riding the fine line between fair game and offence. Her current stand-up routines include jokes about Auschwitz, the victims of September the 11th, and suicide. Born Joan Malinsky, the child of Russian Jewish émigrés, she tried and failed to become a serious actress before launching herself as a stand-up comedian in the small clubs of Greenwich Village in New York. This was the 1960s. Her contemporaries were Lenny Bruce, Barbra Streisand, Richard Pryor and Bill Cosby. Like them, Joan Rivers became an American icon. Her life is one of tremendous ups and downs, but recently she hit a high note in London with rave reviews for her stand-up act at the Haymarket Theatre.
It's the way the candle lights up your face. That I know that no one can take your place.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Dorian Gray of the Theatre Royal Haymarket, please welcome the greatest comedian on the planet, Miss Joan Rivers!
What did you get out of bringing your show to London, to the London Haymarket?
Oh, it was the most exciting moment probably in the last 20 years of my career. I was new there, and I wanted to see what a new person, if I was current and if the critics would like me. I'm so old hat in America. I'm so expected to be funny. And to come into London and have new critics look at you as a new personality, it was magical.
Greetings from ex-President Clinton. I went to Wimbledon with him today, and I saw him. One person got it. Thomasina over here. This is a Donna Karan dress. I ruined a Donna Karan dress for silence? I don't think so. For the poor people, DKNY dress. It is just so sad. You have to explain it all to them.
I think the oddest thing about Joan was that she seemed so ahead of her time. You know, in that she seems incredibly contemporary, and it's just everyone else, I think, is catching up with Joan Rivers.
You have a very strong gay following,
Yes.
certainly in London, I'm here too. Why do you think that is?
God bless the gay community, that's to start with. They're the first ones to find the outrageous women, the strong women, and the last ones to let us go. And I think that's because for many years, they were outsiders, and such outsiders.
It's the outrage, it's the no limits attitude. I mean, because she really does have a go at absolutely everybody with no holds barred.
Well, I think most gay men have very, very strong bonds with their mothers. And most gay men are very pro-female, and probably are attracted to women who are quite gutsy. You know, ball breakers like Joan Collins, Joan Rivers, in fact, all the Joes, Joan Crawford, every Joe. I think we just love those kind of tough characters.
See, men stand and urinate, and yet you still get it all over the sea. You got a pointer. How can you hit the fucking sea? You're in a room fully lit with a hole this big around. How can you miss? Looks like the Pope was blessing the toilet seat. I was like, see, if you were a woman, I could understand if we had a penis, because you'd look around, oh, I'd redecorate. I put balloon shades over there, no question about it. And then someone told me, you know why men wet the seat? Because they know they don't have to clean up. If a man had to clean up, he would piss through a Cheerio. I am telling you.
I have very strong English links. My husband was English, and he went to rugby in Cambridge. And my aunt on my mother's side was a hooker during Queen Victoria's time, and really slept with some of the best English gentry and made quite a few pence. And then, actually, she was the truth is, my aunt, great aunt on my mother's side, was a very famous music hall performer. And she was the star of the family. She came over to the United States, married very, very rich, and became very grand. But she was the one person Noel Coward wanted to meet when he hit the United States. Happy Fanny Fields. And she saw me perform before she died and said to my mother, absolutely no talent at all. Mean old bitch. Can you imagine? I was 19, this rich old thing that's had this great life goes to see me and says, absolutely no talent at all. Hope she's rotting in hell. Voila. Okay. Too much? It's a funeral, but he was a happy person. There's no such thing anymore as American humor. There's no such thing as English humor. It's totally the same. When I first came here, which is when I got married, which is 1970, I literally would go around and ask the doorman and the hall porters, do you get this joke? Good morning, good morning, good morning. How nice to see you. Do you understand this joke? And if not, why? And a lot of times it was verbiage. And they wouldn't get it because they didn't get the references. Now it's very similar. You can have an international audience hate you.
It's the way the candle lights up your face. That I know that no one can take your place.
You gotta get the big rings, and you gotta get them when you're young. And how do we get them? We get them by faking orgasm. That is, oh, yeah, and this goes for men too. Splitting the guy's back. He'll never know. I am telling you. Too rough? It is. Time to say the truth. No, because women fake all the time. Every woman in this room, haven't you faked orgasm? Oh, look at this girl. Oh, not me. Not one of you has ever gone, ooh, 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 ooh. It is common courtesy.
My first actual meeting with her was on the Johnny Carson show. And it's a funny story because everyone told me she was such a bitch. They were like, she's gonna rip you to shreds. So I spent the whole day practicing on these really vile things to say to her if she said anything to me. And she was so sweet. And the woman from my press agency was like, I can't believe it, she was so nice to you, oh my God.
During the 1970s and 80s, Joan Rivers was at the height of her fame. She was a huge star in American television, co-hosting The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Do that anymore, Sailor. Remember those jokes? But it's lovely to be here. It's a great audience, by the way, but I came out and spoke to them ahead of time. Why lie to the Midwest? But it's a great audience, and somebody said I look very good, and that's because they do you, the reason I like hosting the show, I should explain to you, which is wonderful for the women, you'll understand, they do your hair and your makeup for free. And tonight they did something even better. The wardrobe lady, who usually, as I get undressed, just goes, she got, right this way, sir. She got me a new brassiere. Bitter Ed. She got me a new brassiere. Can you see? Can you get a close-up? Wait. Thank you. This is a push-up, shove-over brassiere. I just want you all to know. It's nothing to do with me. It starts down here, and you push everything.
I think her lost years were kind of when she tried not to be true to herself, when she was trying to kind of kowtow or she was trying to play some showbiz game. And of course, she's useless at that. She's much better when she's just kind of going, you know, fingers up to everyone and saying exactly what she thinks.
Joan Rivers began presenting her own late-night talk show on the Fox channel in 1987. She was in direct competition with Johnny Carson's The Tonight Show. Fox fired her after only a few months.
Feels I'm a bit back.
So Fox was starting up, and we went over to Fox, and they offered me my own nighttime show in direct opposition to Carson. And I was ready for it. I mean, I was ready for it. And that went along from the beginning. It was horrible. My husband had a nervous breakdown and was very shaky, and he came up against Rupert Murdoch, and there was friction from the beginning. And finally, the numbers were fine. Everyone always thinks the show tanked. It didn't. We did very well. From the day one, they were in the black. It's all very boring, but it's such a sore subject with me. They called me on a Thursday afternoon. Here I go. And they said, you can stay, but your husband can never come on the set again or on... And my husband was having a nervous breakdown then. And I said, I go with my husband. And that was the end of everything for about 8 years. Very tough times. And I was off television. NBC put out terrible releases that I had left Carson. Fox put out releases, our numbers weren't good. My husband committed suicide over it 3 weeks after it happened. Vegas said we don't want a woman working whose husband has committed suicide. It was just a very difficult time. Good. So, rough times.
Shall we cut for a moment or two?
No, I'm fine. Take 1 second just so we can fix the makeup.
When you said you were off for a number of years, did that mean that your possibilities of keeping your career at that level had gone for 12 years? So does that mean that not only were you not on primetime television for your sort of talent, but all sorts of other...
It affects everything.
...routes were blocked?
Of course. They forget about you. But I wasn't going to go down in the flames. And I think I found every other way in. I found morning television. I did a morning show. I went on daytime shows. I went on any show that wanted me. Hi, I'm Joan Rivers, and guess what? Just when you thought it was safe, haha, I'm back. It's my 7th anniversary show. Can you believe it? 7 years, so much fun on QVC. We're going to have special anniversary prices. It's going to be on September 12th, 13th, and 14th. Please be there. I love you all. Everybody knew the story. It was like a little show business inside story. I was just... They tried to destroy me. It sounds so dramatic. And I just figured, you're not going to. I just thought if I'm going to be funny enough, you're going to have to let me back. And that's what happened. You have to. It's very easy again to sit here and say, well, those were rough 12 years. Those were impossible. The first 2 years, impossible. After my husband's suicide. Impossible. Couldn't get booked. Tough. People that have destroyed me, that have left me for dead, I kiss them at parties. But you know, it's easy to kiss somebody when you're doing well again.
A native New Yorker, Joan Rivers lived in LA throughout the 70s and 80s.
I never knew how much I missed you, but now I can plainly see.
There's always a fish out of water here. That's what makes a comedian.
It's a lonesome old town when you're not around. How I wish you'd come back to me.
Here you have to be the height of a hippopotamus. Oh, here you just have to let it slide off you, and you just go in again with a smile. Here you can never say, I have an enemy, or I will not forgive you. Can't. You're going to meet them in 2 weeks at a meeting. And you've got to tell them, don't you look great?
Joan Rivers now presents a red carpet show at the Oscars for the E! Channel. This has restored her popularity on American television.
And now, glamour returns to Hollywood for the 74th Annual Academy Awards, where the excitement level is unusually high, as I am. You should see what's being passed back and forth. It's a big night here in Hollywood, but we can't take this stuff too seriously. Yes, 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 winning an Oscar is an incredible honor. But admit it, viewers, why are you really watching at home? I know what you want. You want to know what they're wearing, if they're sober, who shows up with crap in their teeth. And I do too.
Joan, I gotta tell you, every time we walk up to you, we're like, oh God, oh God.
If you worry, think of the real people.
You ain't got nothing to worry about, baby.
You both have wonderful teeth. Are they yours?
Yes.
They treat me very well here now because my ratings are great. And the minute the ratings drop, because it's all cyclical, I'll be out of here so fast, Cooper will only know the back of my head for a while.
Joan Rivers moved back to New York from LA after her husband's suicide in 1987.
New York is a very comforting city because A, you can be very anonymous, B, it's not a company town. I thought it was wonderful. You would walk down the street and a garbage man would call out and say, I lit a candle for you. It's nothing like New York. It's a very embracing city.
What made you set up your own business and go into business?
I was starving. Not starving, but I was scratching and scrounging. And they came to me again, and they said, do you want to sell jewelry on television? And that was, now everybody does it. In those days, it was the bottom of the barrel. They would take dead celebrities and work their mouths. And I said, how much? Sure, whatever. And they said, design some jewelry you would wear. And it worked. And I loved it. Became a business, and I was smart enough to treat it like a business. And I really loved it. I now run the business with the largest fashion jewelry company in the United States. But I'm still playing a role. I still think of myself as Joan Crawford in a movie. I go to work and I lead my team to victory.
So you're a mogul?
I'm a mogul. I just came from QVC. I was there all weekend. Everybody see me? Our TSV sold out. Thank you. Sold out at 10 o'clock in the morning. Lots of beads. Yeah, God bless that child labor. I'm telling you, I couldn't sell 42,000 necklaces, all little children. And it's... What, I'm gonna go where there's a union? I won't make a fucking penny. What? I don't believe that child labor is so terrible. Hear me out. Here, not so terrible. What are you gonna... Hello, little Imelda. No last name. Hello, little... Would you rather be a little 8-year-old prostitute or come work for Aunt Joni in her nice air-conditioned basement? And look, Christmas, you can play with the dead dog. Arf, arf.
The South Bank Show, sponsored by Tailors of Harrogate. The South Bank Show, sponsored by Tailors of Harrogate.
Much, much, much too close. I wouldn't, I mean, I'm just not, I will never. Yeah, but I'm just not going to do it then. I mean, I'm just not, unless it's from waist up, I'm not doing it. I trust you, I trust you. Stupid of me, but I trust you.
Are you quite comfortable?
I'm beyond comfortable. Oh, God, at this age, look where I've ended up. Help! Fizz!
She's a bit of a battle axe, but she's a classy dame and she's not afraid to speak her mind.
She's so mean. There's nothing soft about her at all. And she's getting older and worse. And she looks like she's embalmed. I cannot bear the woman.
I remember her describing Prince Charles as a credit card with ears, and I just thought, oh my God.
Joan's life is a cross between a Greek tragedy and a country and western song.
I am so sick of people with principles. I have no principles. How can I make a buck? How can I look young? How can I marry rich? That's all I obsess about.
I get nervous before I go on every single time, whether it's playing to 2 people or it's playing to 150 people. And when friends come backstage before a show, you want to say, please go away. I don't want to talk to you before a show. I don't want to be nice. That's not what I should be concentrating on. I'm always nervous before a show. I wish I weren't, but that's life. So here we are. You speak English? Yes, once. What did you think was going to be here? A singer? Barbara Streisand? She's a very good friend of mine. I hate her. We started together. You think she plays Fez? I don't think so. Do you think she's down here in this shitty... Wait till the train comes through. Wait! The first time that happened, I thought, am I Katharine Hepburn? Is this a different life? Oh, when they say to you, oh, it's a lonely life. Oh, it's a fabulous life. And if you're going to be lonely, let's be lonely in a limo. I like that. Collar up, lots of jewels, glass of champagne, fabulous little overbred dog. I'm lonely. It's a great life. Anybody that tells you that and the other one, they won't leave me alone. You know, I get so angry at those performers. Don't worry. When the time is finished for you, sweetheart, they will leave you alone. Here it comes! I don't know why I laugh. Oh, I'm working here. You can go home. No one should go into our business unless it's a calling. If you can do anything else, you must, because it is the meanest, most difficult business, and people with great talent sometimes don't get anywhere. There's so many variables besides the talent. I had this calling. I had no choice. I really had no choice. I'm upset. Yeah. I had to cremate my mother-in-law today, so. Yeah, and I was coming down here, I thought I should have done it. Oh, I should have waited till she was dead. What the screwer. I didn't like it. She would always go, you know those people, you get what you want. You know what I mean?
Oh, Joan, I want to be cremated. I want to be cremated. Well, I had some time today. Come on, Betty, hop in. Here comes a real sick one. Think Auschwitz. Come on. Guess. I know. Oh, over the line, Miss Rivers. Over the line. My whole family was funny, except for my mother, who used to say, I'm an appreciator. They'd say, why aren't you funny? She'd say, I'm an appreciator. I was always funny. I was never the class clown. That came later, where you crawl around the stage, you know. But I was always witty. What do you do? Antiques. Oh. Antiques. What could you get for an old Jew?
What sort of background was it? Is Larchmont a rather posh, to use the English word, district?
Larchmont would be considered upper class, upper middle, lower upper. You know, yes, there's the yacht club and the country clubs. Yes, it was a very comfortable place to be brought up in. They didn't know what to make of me. One of the worst nights of their lives were when my parents, I got to perform at their country club.
How old were you?
I was 22 and I wanted to be a comedian. I wasn't ready. And my mother said, why don't you try it, dear, at the country club? And they went out through the kitchen. It was a total disaster.
So it's rather unusual, isn't it, for someone to come into stand from such a, what would say, an affluent background, really. Can you just tell us a bit more about the family dynamic in the background? Your father was a doctor.
My father was, both of them were immigrants. Mm-hmm. My mother both came from Russia. Both came over because of the revolution. My mother came over because they were court Jews. They sold fur and bricks and meat to the Tsar's army. So there was no such thing as pogroms. When a pogrom started, the Tsar sent people to surround their house. That was my mother. So they had to get out because the Tsar would get out. My father came from the poorest of the poor. And they got out because they couldn't live in Russia. They couldn't make a living. And a 13-year-old sister came over, worked in a sweatshop, and brought them all over. And the immigrant, that wonderful energy, every one of that family became a doctor or a lawyer. Amazing, amazing. And they met over here. And they were very upwardly. My mother wanted back what she had as a child.
Which was what? Which
was affluence and great. She remember the servants coming in with silver trays with pears stuffed with some kind of a walnut. That was one of her earliest memories. And being brought into her mother, who was always having tea, and she thought, I can't wait to be a mother so that I can sit and have silver. You know, so my mother wanted all that back.
Did she get it back?
Yes, unfortunately, she got it back by getting my father tremendously into debt.
The smartest woman in the whole world, Jacqueline Onassis. I met that little farty pig, that Onassis. He used to walk around, the knuckles would hit the ground. But wasn't she smart to marry him? Because when he died, and she was walking around those big, stupid lizard eyes that worked independently looking for Richka. When he died, he left her $78 million, my darlings. $78 million. I would have hopped in the sack with Onassis. Wouldn't you have slept with Onassis? Yes, so you just shut your eyes, you say store names. Tomorrow. When this is all over, you're the best. When this is all over, I'll be in Manolo Blahnik just putting on those shoes.
My mother was a great shopper and wanted to live very beautifully, you know, whatever memories she had. And my father, poor thing, I mean, how many people can you diagnose in a day?
But do you think you've inherited your mother's aspiration in this place and your own sort of living in splendor here?
Oh, I live in fantasy. I'm a great history buff. and I live in total non-reality. I was watching infomercials today. That's how sad my life is. The Marlon Brando workout. I almost bought it. Watch me walk to the refrigerator. When good-looking people get fat, you know, it really upsets me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, he was great-looking. Great. He should have had it fixed. Then he looked like Michael Douglas. Oh, Michael Douglas. Look how quiet. What? You think he looks good? He crosses his legs, his mouth snaps open. Michael... He farts the part in his hair. I was a very, very apparently beautiful child, you know, toddler. And then I got uglier. And I think that maybe if people hadn't thought I was so great at such a young age and made such a fuss over me, it wouldn't have hit me so terribly when the reality came in.
Joan in her head is still a little fat girl from Larchmont. And that's why such attention to exercise and diet and the plastic surgery and all that to be better, never to be Joan Malinsky, little fatty in Larchmont.
Oh, let's be honest. Oh, look, that. Oh, I resent that, Miss Rivers. You think you're better looking than Oprah Winfrey? Yes. For Oprah, she looked great. But she still is Oprah. She still got an ass the size of China. I was like, which is good if you go on like a ski vacation with her and you get stuck. You could live on her ass, and I would for a week.
We've no idea of knowing whether your idea of being fat and ugly is everybody else's idea of being fat and ugly, frankly. When did you begin to think, I'm going to use this instead of feel victimized by it?
Probably from the beginning. I always knew I wasn't going to be the first one asked to dance. And I always knew that it was my wit that was going to make... And I always knew, somehow or other, that if you let them know you know, then they can't hurt you.
Given that your mother was so determined for you to have this and that and the other, were there any rules, were there any ambitions that she had for you? That you had to do this, you had to be like that, you had to be like the other?
Their ambition was, of course, to be brilliantly educated and to marry brilliantly. Hey, I'm all for that.
We're all fucking overeducated. You don't know that? Tell me anybody. I have a philosophy major. I can go to the butcher, prove the meat doesn't exist. What good does it do? All you need is big breasts and mouth always open with your tongue hanging out. Men love that. Hello. What's your name? What? Karen. From now on, Corinne. Sit up straight, Corinne. Breasts up. Pinch those shoulder blades. Learn to open the door with your breasts. I'm telling you, it's very...
I tried to follow the rules because it was so important to my parents. And I did get the education. I'm thrilled I got the education, looking back. And then I married the way you were supposed to marry. And then when that didn't work out, I thought, that's it.
Her father, Dr. Malinsky, was a nice middle-class doctor with his own values of what his daughters should be. You know, her sister Barbara, Phi Beta Kappa, went to law school, you know. And here's another Phi Beta Kappa daughter. She wants to be on the stage.
When I said I want to go into show business, I mean, they didn't talk to me for 2 years, close to 2 years.
Really?
Yes, really.
I'll tell you why my parents don't believe him had grown up. Because they had a lot of trouble when I was a child. And they can't accept the fact their troubles are over, you know? Because, like, I was a mess. I wish I had a picture I'd show you. I had, like, everything was wrong. Like, I had buck teeth that you can't believe, you know? But buck. You know that kind of buck? No matter how hard it rained, my chin was always dry. You know, that's just unbelievable. And fat. Underneath the buck was fat, you know? And just, but really fat. I was my own buddy at camp, you know, like. And because I was so fat, I didn't have any friends. This is very sad. Did you know me? No, because I was so fat, you know, I had no friends, because nobody could get close enough to me to find out I was fun. So I began to retreat. I began to retreat very much into my cells.
So these 2 years, I suppose there'll be some kind of allowance coming in from your parents. It
Nothing.
Really?
There was no money. There was no... once my father tried to have me committed. That was the only thing that went on during those 2 years.
Committed in what sense? Really to a...
Really, I don't know if he really would have done it. But they were so angry with me. And he came to a place where I was living and tried to drag me home. And it was an all-woman... I was such a good girl. And they really thought I was trampy and whoring around. I was living in an all-woman's dormitory. I mean, really the lowest.
How did you get out of that?
I went home for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then my mother came around a little bit and finally just said, just let her. The nice thing was, they both lived to see me successful, which was terrific, and my mother would go around and say, which I gave her such credit for, we had nothing to do with it. She did it on her own. We had nothing to do with it. And my father would say, we always knew. I would think, what? And my mother, God bless her, would always say. But she was so proud. One time, a friend of hers told me after she died, they were talking, and my mother said something like, her friend said, aren't you thrilled that Joan is a star? And my mother said to her, Alice, superstar.
The South Bank Show, sponsored by Tailors of Harrogate. The South Bank Show, sponsored by Tailors of Harrogate.
Some people grow old gracefully. Joan isn't even growing old disgracefully. She's getting younger and younger in terms of her physicality because she's had so much surgery, which she was very upfront about. Television is youth obsessed, and she's got to show that she's young and vital. But I mean, golly, Joan, we have gone through some changes.
Because we all get older, it is so depressing. That's why everybody enjoy yourselves while you're young. Nothing in my body is where it started out to be, except my shoulder blades. It is. My boobs are down there. I cannot tell you. And they keep dropping. Women's breasts don't stop dropping. That's what upset. Every 6 weeks you have to stop and hem your nipples. It's just like on the Palm Pilot, nipple hem, nipple hem, nipple hem.
The fact that you've actually taken pains to look as good as you can and gone into surgery for it, is that part of your own philosophy in that sense?
Yes, I haven't had, they claim, which does make me laugh, that I've had everything done 1,000 times, and I haven't. I really had what everybody's had, you know. When I say everybody, every actress of a certain age or every social lady of a certain age has done. But I have talked publicly about it. But I do think looks are very important. I think if you can afford plastic surgery and look better, of course you should do it. It makes you feel good. We all get up and look in the mirror. You don't want to say, oh my God, whose grandmother is that? Ugh, getting old. I hate old people. Ugh, I hate them. They all hang around my house. My grandma. I put them to work on the jewelry. Well, if they can sit there and shake, they can, first of all, they can polish silver. You put a frame in this hand and a cloth in this hand. You go to the Parkinson's ward. Come on, everybody. We're gonna have a party.
Do you rage at being older?
Yes.
Getting older?
And I say to my audience, tell me one good thing about it. There's nothing. You don't get wiser. You get stupider. You don't get better looking. Your body doesn't do what you ask it to do. I'm down here now, I have to get up. One of my big jokes is that's why I never went out with President Clinton. I could get under the desk, I couldn't get out. He'd be saying, here comes Hillary. I can't. Give me a hand, help me up. There's nothing good about age. And you become invisible. Older people become invisible. And we're kind to our animals because we put our animals down. And I keep saying to my daughter, I don't want to be sitting in a diaper somewhere not knowing you. That's not the way I want to end up.
My mom's career was like an entity. It was another child that both my parents nurtured. Everybody sort of had their specific roles and their duties, and my father handled the business so that my mother would be freed up just to write and concentrate creatively. And everything was always discussed. Everything was always out in the open and on the table for everybody to work through.
Melissa's wonderful, going through a divorce, which is tough. Yeah, and the kid, Cooper, I'm crazy about it. Crazy. It's not housebroken. Hold me, Granny. No, not yet. I'll hold you when you're 3. Mommy, you want to change him? No. Hello, honey. Don't touch Granny. I'm in a white leather suit. Oh, he calls me Nana New Face. Very funny, little Copper Cooper, whatever your stupid name is. I'm grooming Cooper for marrying an immensely wealthy woman. Yeah, whoa!
The act went from a lot about being single and dating and early marriages and into once she got married and had a child, the family, so there were a lot of marriage jokes and a lot of child rearing things. It's really evolved with her life, what's happening. Like in this day and age, she's talking about what it is to date at her age, you know, how horrible it is. After 2 marriages and your child's had a child and you're still dating.
Oh, I go out with all these old guys, now they don't even know they're in bed. You say, you're the best, and they go, at what? At what? Oh, old men are just as ugly as old women, let me tell you. Their bodies go just as fast. Ha, ha, ha. Really, my act now is really about the lack of morals in the country. I don't mean morals into bed, out of bed. Just, there are no rules anymore. So what? Celebrities, you're a celebrity if you tried to kill the president. A Monica Lewinsky, who had oral sex with the president and is now a celebrity and goes to parties and people say, oh, I want to meet her. You know, so there's lots of rage about it. But the condition of poor women is just very sad now. How many people in this room didn't sleep with President Clinton and his pretty dyke wife? Oh, and that ugly daughter. Chelsea. And we all, remember we pretended she was attractive? We all, because she was a teenager, you can't be, oh, she'll grow out of it. When? She's going through fucking menopause. She's ugly.
Your attack on not your attack, I mean attack
Yes,
by
attack.
the take on, well, let's say
Take.
your take on women. Do you think you alienate women because of that?
Well, there was a whole time when the women comedians called me an Uncle Tom. And I just said, these are the stupidest bitches I've ever heard of. And that was when they weren't, you know, we're all,
because you were too
I was talking about women's condition. You know, whether you like it or not, We're all here on the earth for one reason, and that's to propagate and continue the species. So there's going to be an attraction, and that's what it's all about. And once you've made it and you've spawned, you're finished. And you've done what you're supposed to do on earth. So you have to be attracted to the opposite, whether you want to or not. And these girls that would start saying, I'm not going to be attractive and a woman shouldn't be looked at as a sexual object. Excuse me? I say hooray for sexual harassment. I say get to the top any way you can.
Oh, I'll go. And look who they asked to make a pretty Donatella Versace. That's pretty. She looks like something you would hang on a door in Africa. I have never. The face is a piece of leather. Am I lying? It's like you want to open her lips, throw your car keys in, close her mouth.
She's not a groundbreaker of any kind. She's got a really evil mouth, and she comes off like a man in a way, you know, bitchy as hell.
I think that she was able to place herself into a very male stream of comedy. And in that way, I consider her very groundbreaking.
I think my mother is a feminist. I think she would cringe hearing the word feminist applied to her because she really believes that, you know, men should open doors and men should pick up checks and men should bring you flowers, and she really is very old-fashioned that way. But I think my mom is, you know, one of the big feminists of the 20th century.
I feel terribly sorry for my daughter and all her contemporaries because there are no rules anymore, and that's why women are lonely. It's a very sad state of affairs. This all goes back to women's liberation. We've done it to ourselves. First stupid bitch that opened a car door for herself screwed all her sisters.
She doesn't realize the doors that she's opened and the ground that she's broken. And it's something that's so innate and inside of her that she doesn't see that she's done that. You talk about a glass ceiling, she busted right through it at a time when no women were doing what she was doing.
Oh, God, it's so hard. I'm just not the same gal I used to be. Since 9/11. Yeah. I could have married a guy and had him in there. Oh, there are 3,000 widows. Out of 3,000 widows, and it's very tragic, there got to be 6 that are happy. You look at the divorce rate. 50% of every marriage ends in divorce. You're telling me all 3,000 of those women who got $5 million fucking dollars each are happy? I'm telling you, there are 5 women quietly jumping for joy.
I think the thing that illustrates Joan Rivers best for me is the stuff she does about the widows of 9/11. That is so out there and radical, and yet this, what would seem to be a very establishment figure who's nearly 70. I just love the fact she's doing that stuff.
Do you feel any taboo subjects inside you? Do you feel, no, I can't really talk about that?
If I can talk about it, then I figure it's not taboo. And certain things I won't talk about.
Such as?
It depends on the moment. But I think death of a child, very difficult. It's also, you know, all the cliches, tragedy plus time is comedy. You know, and it's all true. There's certain things you're just not ready to laugh at. And then I don't. When I feel I'm ready to laugh at it, I take a shot in this club. And very often I'll say, gone too far, eh? The other night in the nightclub, I did an Auschwitz joke. They weren't having any of it. I said, okay, fine, gone too far, have we? But the whole point is to get your audience to be your friends and to make it look like you're just talking at a dinner table. And so you overstep. You can pull back.
Ding dong, Mrs. Yes, we found he's not dead. No! I'm gonna have my butler throw you out!
The times are such tough times, and there are no boundaries anywhere in life, so there's certainly not going to be any boundaries on stage for a comedian. We're told every day we may go to war, and in New York, we're waiting to be blown up. I mean, you have no idea. Every day since 9/11 is a given day. So I think it's very rough times.
Joan has a touch of Tourette's disease. What goes in the head comes right out the mouth. And that's wonderful in many ways because you get the straight answer, you're not lied to. On the other hand, there are times when I think she could edit herself a little bit, and that's when she gets into trouble. And she'll go for the joke, because Joan thinks funny.
I'm going to be cremated. You're going to be cremated. You're too young to think about this. Except I'm scared. What if they lose the ashes? You always hear these stories. What if I end up being snorted by Whitney Houston? What if I end up... That could happen. I could be mixed into a bag or something, you know? I could end up in Bobby Brown's ass. I mean, it's just... I worry. Sure, you wouldn't give a shit if it happened to me.